in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, number 1 Indiana, number 5 Oregon, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN. David will be there. Indiana, a 4-point favorite. And we've got a rematch here. David, we have had 5 rematches in the history of the college football playoff.
Okay.
What do you think the record is of the team that won the first game?
I'm gonna say 1-4.
1-4. And that
All right.
one was Ole Miss Tulane. You had the Georgia Alabama national championship game that flipped, went to Alabama the first time, Georgia the second time. You had Ohio State last year, Oregon in the Rose Bowl, Oregon the first time, Ohio State the second time. You had Alabama, Oklahoma this year. Oklahoma won the first time, Alabama the second time, and Ole Miss, Georgia, where Georgia won the first time, Ole Miss won the second time. It's very hard to beat a team 2 times in one season. How much of a factor do you think that is?
I think it's going to be a relatively large factor. The thing is, I trust these 2 coaching staffs from a game planning perspective way more than I trust the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
You know, Dan Lanning, I think if you polled 136 athletic directors, I don't know that any of them would rank Dan Lanning outside of their top 3 in their coaches. And if you polled those same people, I'm not sure Curt Cignetti would fall outside of the top 4 or 5. I think he'd be in most people's top 2. But there is, this is only sort of year 2 of doing this at the big top.
Yeah.
Before we get in the game, though, Chris, I will say this is I have never covered the Peach Bowl. This is actually
hold on. Before that, I will say on the rematch part of it, when you talk to coaches about it, it becomes a lot less about game plan. And it becomes a lot more just about your guys and guys making plays because they know what to expect. They've prepared for it already. They've gone through it already. You're not really going to hit anybody with any surprises. It really comes down more to just your guys more than your scheme, I think. And so that makes an interesting dynamic. But you were saying about the Peach Bowl?
So the New Year's Six, this game I had not covered, and then the Rose Bowl I have not covered. So I'll be crossing this one off. But Chick-fil-A, there'll be plenty of Chick-fil-A. Where does Chick-fil-A rank in your fast food chicken, Chris?
I don't do chicken that much. Like if I'm getting
you
chicken,
got Popeyes, you got Zaxby's, you got Chick-fil-A.
I'm usually doing like a KFC if I just want to get some chicken. But there is a Popeyes near me too. There's a Chick-fil-A near me too, and the line is always out the door. I don't go there that much, partly because it's so crowded where I live, but it's good.
You know what we need? So, Chris, there's Peruvian chicken that's very popular in Charlotte. Viva Chicken. Okay. It's delicious. It's a rotisserie chicken, but there's a lot of flavor to it. Anyway, I'll be eating a lot of Chick-fil-A.
What would happen if you got Chick-fil-A Uber Eats over to that place?
It's a good question. Well, you probably wouldn't need to because there's usually free Chick-fil-A in the press box, but so it would be
No, to the Peruvian place.
They'd probably be all right with it. They got some good.
They would have to be insulted. They'd have to be insulted.
Real ones know Peruvian chicken, man. It's a thing in Charlotte. It's delicious. So we'll see. I'm excited about this game. Atlanta, great place to cover a college football game. They hosted the national championship last year. I will not be flying, so I don't have to deal with the debacle that was the post-game airport situation. You had to deal with that last year, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, but it actually ended up not being too, because it was like a snowstorm the day after. Yeah. I stayed an extra day, so it wasn't as bad for me. But I don't like that stadium, by the way.
Why not? What's wrong with it?
I like AT&T Stadium way more. I don't like the lighting in there. I've been like
it's a little darker. It's fair.
Press conference stuff is not great. I remember I covered Georgia, Oregon there, and like Dan Lanning's press conference was like behind a curtain, like in folding chairs. It was kind of wild for a brand new NFL stadium. I don't know what's up with that, but as for this game, so they did already play once, and I went back and I watched a bunch of highlights and I wrote down a bunch of notes from it. Here's what jumped out to me about that game. So Indiana won 30-20. They led 10-7 at halftime. They were up 20-13 in the second half. Then Oregon gets a pick six, but Indiana immediately responds with a 75-yard touchdown drive, and then a field goal to win. Indiana was held to just 3 yards per carry in that game, and they were only sacked one time. They could not run the ball well. Oregon was sacked 6 times by 5 different Indiana players. They were really getting after Dante Moore. Stephen Daly, who's not playing for Indiana, wasn't one of those people. So that's not an adjustment. And Oregon was able to run the ball in this game when they weren't getting sacked. Davison had 7.4 yards per carry. Whittington was at 5.4, but they were down a lot and they had to pass more. And Dante Moore played okay, but he threw 2 interceptions, both in the fourth quarter as he was trying to make a comeback. Oregon also missed a field goal in that game. It's a big in a 10-point game. They went 3 for 4 on fourth down. And notably, DeCorian Moore and Gary Bryant Jr. played in that game, and they both had 4 catches. And we don't know, as of recording, what exactly their health is. They played a little bit.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say, coming off of a short week, they'll probably play. But, what are they at? You watch DeCorian Moore, he didn't do a ton in that game, but he didn't look right.
So, first thing I'm looking for in this game is, again, line of scrimmage, which I know is not surprising in football, but Oregon is the number 11 rushing offense in the country. They were the number 2 rushing offense going into the Texas Tech game. That's how poorly it went there. Can they get it going against an Indiana rush defense that is ranked number 7? And as I mentioned, Indiana sacked Dante Moore 6 times. And Dante Moore, he played pretty well considering the situations he was in, because he was under a lot of pressure from Texas Tech there. As ugly as that final score was and that game was to watch at times, Texas Tech's defense got after it.
Yeah, the defensive line especially. They lived up to the hype.
So, can Indiana do that? Do you think that's possible?
Well, they don't have as many dynamic individual talents, but it's like you said, and we talked about this coming off of the Alabama game. Indiana seems to be greater than the sum of its parts, which I think is a humongous testament to Curt Cignetti. I think there's a lot of that discipline there. Mm-hmm. And you watch them, especially on defense, there's not a lot of guys that pop for Indiana, but you're just like, oh my gosh, this guy is a beast. But people are where they're supposed to be. I don't think we keep track. Well, I don't think PFF keeps track of bust percentages or missed assignments on defense because you don't know the assignment. But if there were, I feel confident Indiana would be in the top 2% of missed assignments. It just doesn't seem like it happens a lot for them. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of breathing room for teams. And when there's good teams, it looks tough. And then when it's bad teams, it looks hopeless against Indiana. They just crush you. So Indiana's certainly dynamic, but when you're playing a defense where guys are constantly where they're supposed to be, that means you've got to execute. That means your margin of error is pretty small. When you make a mistake, they're going to make you pay for it, and you can't count on them making a mistake. You've got to just beat people when you're one-on-ones. And Oregon, man for man, pound for pound, certainly has better players than Indiana. But again, this goes back to what we were talking about, where the talent issue. You can talk about the team talent composite. I think with Indiana, it's kind of almost pointless because it just doesn't add up to what I see on the screen.
Indiana has a lot of NFL guys. There are a lot of NFL dudes on this team. So whatever the high school rating doesn't matter at this point. And that's one of the other factors I had in this game toward the end, which is just which quarterback is better? Both of these guys are probably going to be the top 2 quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft this spring if they both declare. It's expected Mendoza will. Dante Moore doesn't seem sure yet. But both of these guys are potential top 5 picks. And sometimes it just comes down to which of your NFL dudes is going to make the most plays. And you could see this going 2 different ways. Mendoza never puts up enormous numbers because he's often getting benched before, when the game gets out of hand. But he went 14 for 16 against Alabama. He had more touchdowns than he did interceptions. So incompletions, I'm sorry. And so both these guys might be under some pressure a bit. Which one's just going to make more plays? As simple as that is. Sometimes it just comes, like I said, both of these quarterbacks have prepared for these defenses before. They've gone up against these defenses before. You're not going to surprise them with all that much. Both of them are too good and too smart for that. Who's just going to make the better plays? And sometimes that's often what football comes down to. Of these 2 quarterbacks, I mean, maybe this is too obvious, but of these 2 quarterbacks, which one would you rather have?
I mean, I think Dante Moore is dynamic, but I think the processing, the accuracy, and just like the sort of intangible quality of rising tide lifts all boats, I'd probably point to Mendoza. But Dante Moore probably has a higher ceiling. Like you look at his physical tools and you're like, he definitely jumps off the tape a little bit more than Mendoza does. It's like he's got a big arm. Obviously, Mendoza's a big kid, but like I think Moore could be more special. But in terms of play-to-play execution, what you need, Mendoza, I think, the better guy right now.
Yeah, and I looked up. It doesn't look. Yeah, Cal. They're in different conferences. He didn't play Oregon, I don't think. When he
and
was
and he's played a ton of football, which I think can pay off in these games. Because at the end of the day, like it's a huge stage. This is the biggest game either one of these guys have played in by a pretty wide margin. But Mendoza, can you reduce every single snap to I just need to do one progression at a time, one throw at a time, simplify those things, make the game smaller than it is. And Mendoza, because he might be 60% robot, I kind of like his ability to do that. And I don't know, has anybody ever seen Dante Moore in the weekend in the same room?
Correction. Mendoza did play against Oregon 2 years ago at Cal.
Okay.
Oregon won 63-19. Mendoza was 18 for 34 through a pick.
Wrap it up. I don't think what's the point of him playing this game then?
So, but I say that to say he is very familiar with this Oregon defense and with Tosh Lupoy and what they're going to throw at him. So I think that's something that can only really help you. And to that point, another thing I'm watching for here, turnovers. Indiana number 1 in turnover margin. Dante Moore, 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. And he had 2 the last time he played Indiana. It's been a problem a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, hold on. And then 3rd and 4th downs. Like Indiana number 1 in the country on 3rd downs, but they were only 5 for 14 against Oregon last time. Oregon was 3 for 14 on 3rd down the last time these two teams played, but they went 3 for 4 on 4th down. And as we saw against Texas Tech when they went for 4th down a million times, it went 4 for 8. Like this is a game with an over/under 46.5. They don't think that the Vegas doesn't think this is going to be high scoring. And do you think this is a situation with the way last week went? Does Dan Lanning take field goals, or does he go for 4th downs on a whim if the yardage is good?
I think he believes in what he's doing. I think you're not going to see him flinch in the strategy at all. A lot of that's situational, but if it's 4th and 3 at the 30 again, I think you're going to see him go for it.
Yeah. Anything else I have here? I think that's about.
So do we want to get to the picks here?
Yeah. What's your pick? So Indiana 4-point favorite.
So listen, I do believe in Dan Lanning. I don't blame. What's the list of teams that have come after him? I mean, Alabama, most notably.
Nobody's getting Dan Lanning, by the way, because not only does he has a $20 million buyout just to leave, but he's also got like a separate like Nike kind of thing that.
Yeah.
He ain't leaving.
It's a good gig. It doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. By
the way, you want to know part of the reason he has such a good contract and why he has such a high buyout to leave? Because you know who was the coach at Oregon before him?
Mario Cristobal.
It was Mario Cristobal. He's in the other semifinal. So that would be an interesting if we have an Oregon Miami national championship game. That'd be a little spicy little
well, we got
thing there
Chris.
too.
We should have somebody ranking the best championship game possibilities. So there might be somebody at the Athletic doing that for early this week.
I don't know. What are your top 3? Well, we'll do that after the picks. What's your pick?
We'll talk about it. So all that to say, I am a big Dan Lanning fan. I believe in what he does. I think the program building, the floor of that program is incredibly high. That said, Dan Lanning's track record in big games, not good. Not good at all. The Rose Bowl last year looms. Both of those Washington games in 2023, when he had the better team, looms for me. When have we seen him kind of prove himself as an underdog in this stage, or when it's kind of a coin flip game? We haven't really seen a ton of that.
Beat Ohio State last year, but that was at home. Beat Penn State, Big Ten championship, but you're the better team.
Yes, exactly. They're not the better team here. And Indiana, listen, I was surprised the line was this low. Oregon, obviously, it seems like maybe it's an overreaction to what we saw from the last game, which is kind of how Vegas gets people.
Could
But
it
if
be
you
the
look at
rematch? Could it be the rematch thing though?
look at the totality of the season, Indiana is way more than 4 points better than Oregon. I think Indiana wins this game. I think they cover easily. I think they win by 2 scores, and I think they prove that they're the best team in the country right now. And I think we have another sort of interesting conversation about Dan Lanning in big games.
I'm gonna go Indiana 2 and Indiana cover as well. Like I've been a believer in this team for a long time, and I'm trying not to just like think we just saw what they did against Alabama, therefore this is what Indiana's going to do to everybody, because Oregon's better than Alabama.
Yeah,
Maybe
way
by a
better.
lot.
They're not going to win this game by 30 points, but Oregon, one, I think, introduced a lot of questions about Texas Tech, and two, because Texas Tech, for all that we've said about them, relatively untested as well. BYU, the only test that they faced, and BYU didn't necessarily acquit themselves super well in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And so you start looking at that, and I know the transitive property is many things and imperfect, but I think when you get this late in the season, you try to look at totality and common opponents, it does tell you a little bit. And so I think for me, Chris, we've been kind of looking side-eye at Oregon all year. It's like you watch them, and they passed the eye test, they got athletes, they've been solid all season, but you look at kind of the results that they put on tape, the results they put on paper. It's not, I mean, it's certainly not as impressive. I just think Indiana wins this thing and wins it solidly.
Both of them, by the way, narrow escapes at Iowa this season as well. Again, it's going to come down to like, I look at the line of scrimmage. Can Oregon run the ball? If they can, it opens up a lot. They were able to run the ball the first time around, and you're going to need that because you can't have them pinning their ears coming after Dante Moore.
Yeah.
And can Indiana run the ball? Indiana could not run the ball against Oregon the last time around. Is there a key turnover or two that swings the game? We saw a lot. There were 3 turnovers the last time these two teams played. Those 3rd and 4th downs. Is Oregon going to be super aggressive again? Do they turn the ball over on downs, or are they extending drives and keeping Indiana off the field? And then quarterbacks. Like, these are 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, maybe the 2 best. Who plays better? That's what it comes down to. I'm gonna go Indiana. I think the Indiana football Hoosiers play for the national championship, which would be wild. Now, you mentioned